Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be talking about the VRising update. So 1.1 has come out, Oakveil Woods. I'm just going to have a quick unscripted kind of ramble about each of the specific changes and try and demo some of the bits. I'm not going to go and kill the 5 bosses. If you do want to go see that, then do let me know and I'll create a separate video for that. But for now we're just going to cover the individual things, some of the changes, and what I've done and what I think of the game so far. So let's get into it. So the Oakveil Wood, located in the top left corner here, 2 teleport points and 2 areas where you can get resources. Rather interestingly, you can correct potions, and there is another area up here where you can collect ember glass. This is incredibly important for the late game, but we're not going to talk about that right now. There are 4 specific bosses and 1 endgame boss. Drops a jewel, which this boss gives you the Shard of the Serpent. I guess kind of a illusion alternate snakehead, which then drops the ends. Okay, it's pretty decent. The boss, however, is rather difficult to beat depending on your build. We'll get into that a bit later on. Inside Oakveil, you'll find a new blood type. I don't know why I keep them off and showing you more stuff. This is supposed to have it. Yeah, I can show you that we have a corrupted blood. Okay, I don't know what that was about, but it's working now. Really a bit of a glitch. So if we just grab a corrupted blood, and I can show you what this blood does. So we can get damage. Reduce damage taken from corrupted attacks. So that's very specific to the Oakveil region. It's only really going to apply in that area. Reduce the maximum amount of vile corruption stacks. So vile corruption stacks reduce healing. So it's kind of an annoying thing, but so is this blood to be honest. 12% movement speed and 18% increased attack speed. That's pretty good, but the chance to take damage is kind of different there. It's really up to you if you want to use this or not. Spell weapon charge gained by 15. That's also good. And obviously you've got the, if you've got 100% blood, you get a blood bonus. So that is all particular. There is another new feature from Oakveil in which some heroes there have auras. Let me just see if I can find what to show you. Auras are a new mechanic in the Oakveil, which basically means that any of these bad guys that I find that has an aura of their level kind of match my own, and in that they won't exactly be easy to kill opposed to some of the others. This place is pretty full of them. Yeah, they've got the yeah, that guy's got an aura which is like purple around his feet. Purple is very much the theme for this area. See, well, that quite a bit of damage to those guys. It didn't do anything to him. We'll try and hit him. You want to avoid that stuff because it. But you see, it's not really doing a whole lot to him. You got to be a bit more careful. Auras can be quite a bit more challenging to come up against. And there's also 2 caravans that come around this area. Just to kill you guys if you want that. Caravans, as always, can drop some good stuff. Show you what's available here. Got a really good sword. Grab that. Get rid of this here. Ember is one of the new resources. Always corrupt sap. You need these 2. But this is a great place to come and get schemes if you want to get that research going. And the ember glass you'll need to forge items, which is something we'll go over later. But yeah, oh, and this is an item with a perfect sat on, so 16%. Really good. We'll talk more of that. Yes, in terms of the Oakveil, There's a caravan which basically goes up. Yeah, I'm not sure where it originates from. And then for down here, there's one that just circles around this entire area. Very easy to find the caravans in these areas. If you're kind of level 60-ish, it'd be a good idea to come here. It would still be rather dangerous, but you're to the good with the bad, I guess. That is the Oakveil area, generally speaking. Each boss is rather high leveled. New Serpent Queen drops Dracula's leggings now rather than Dracula himself. And this is on brutal, that's why that's 91. Normal guys there. Over here you have the normal ones as well, but then you have Dantos the Forge Finder. This guy's a bit rough to fight, but he does give you the Fusion Forge, which allows you to combine both, so that is really good. But I think the worst thing with this guy is the area he fights you in, you have the Corruption, which reduces your healing. So if you're using Blood Magic, you probably want to spec into a different build temporarily to fight this guy, because Blood Magic's not going to be that great against him. Your healing is massively reduced, it's a problem. We have the other two down here at 78. This one has kind of the slashing blades and disappears, can be kind of annoying, but they also unlock a passive slot, which gives you an extra bonus, which we'll talk about the passive later on. We're going to skip that for now. And each of these guys has a chance to give you elixirs as well, which is another buff as such. You can only have one elixir active at any given time though. And Avros Carver gives you the advanced sawmill and weapon coating. So weapon coating allows you to put a buff onto a weapon and only that weapon. So what I mean by that is you have to have the weapon equipped to apply that buff. If you swap to another weapon, you will lose that buff, but you can put a different coating on a different weapon. So if you wanted, you could have 4 weapons with 4 different coatings active at the same time and swap between them to get the necessary benefit that you want at that time. So that's all pretty solid, and you know, gives you a teleport spot, which is always good if you're going to have a big castle. Quick overview of the 4 bosses and the Oakenwoods. Next you have Sir Erwin, the Gallant Cavalier. This guy allows you to build the stables, which are ridiculously big in my opinion. And you need stables to level your horse now. No longer can you just have a horse and it's good. You have to basically feed it different herbs and it will level up as well. And there is Gaius, the Cursed Champion. You have to go to the arena to fight this guy and he unlocks the Twin Blades. If you're not really interested in the Twin Blades, then you don't need to fight this guy, but I actually find that I like the Twin Blades a lot. I'll be talking about the different attacks later on. But he also allows you to build an area, which is a PvP zone you can construct. I haven't actually built one on this map because it's PvE. If you are into dueling and doing the PvP stuff, but one more civilized way of doing it, you can actually make these dueling banners now, which allow you to put it down and to create an area in which a PvP zone will be created. But it's not like a proper PvP. You'll get all your stuff back at the end of it. It's just really a one-on-one duel, as more of an honourable fight than an arena deathmatch. So, as I briefly mentioned earlier, this is the treasure flooring. Treasure flooring allows all your stuff in, all your resources on hand. You don't have to carry things around. There's very few things you actually have to do, and you can set up automation later on, which I'll talk about a bit more later, but basically your natural resources can be taken out of this room and put into this room to be used. They can't be used in this manner for upgrades. In that regard, it's a little limiting, but apart from that one particular, it is a really good feature, because this just allows you to dump a lot of stuff in here. Or if you want, you might, I'm not really sure if it's going to be the best optimum way, but to create like little treasure rooms next to each room, like mini rooms. And then you can just take the resources and put them in, because it is kind of arduous sometimes having to come and pick stuff up to forge specific things, but it is a massive improvement on the 1.0. So these are redistribution engines, like I mentioned earlier. This is part of what allows things placed seamlessly. I'm going to demonstrate. We go in here. What I can do is you can have Hammer sent directly into storage. You really want it to. Hammer might not be the best idea. Let's just build a really quick thing. We build the Alchemy cloak, right? 8 seconds. Is that little glow, and then it appeared. Sent it, so we now have Alakaz's cloak in storage, which is really good. So it means you can actually fully fill things up. Like I've been sending things over here for forever to get all this pollen to make lots of threads, because I had a whole system set up whereby flowers were crushed to make pollen, and then the pollen was being sent in here to make scrolls, so that we could get all the research right away. Now I've got all the schemes being funneled right back home into storage. One of the big changes to 0.1 is the attributes. A lot of attributes are a lot more transparent. You can see where the attributes are coming from, generally speaking, and how much of an attribute gain you have. Like you can see here, the weapon skill power is 28 of a potential, which is the end. Crit chance is 37. Potential to take that a bit higher. So one of the ways you can actually increase your stats is you have, much like before, armor, which is all of the same, which makes it extra bonuses. But in addition to this, you now have duals, weapons. So the duals can be reforged. So I can take two duals and merge them together to take the best attributes I want. I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to choose at random, I suppose. I don't really thought this through, so we will choose. Don't have any chaos. Let's fail chaos. So at the very top here, it uses great Stygian shards and flawless amethysts. So a bit of a hack here is to just use one of these at tier 4, and I'm going to explain very quickly. So if we get Aftershock, which is one of my favorite spells to have, okay, it's terrible. Right, but the thing is, tier 4 ones are really expensive because it uses pure gems and shards. And shards are very kind of cost expensive if you want to actually mine this thing to be 4 perfect stats rather than 0 perfect stats it has right now. Okay, the one I've got actually on my current weapon has 2 current spell. So we can use that one, but what we can do is we can actually reforge just to make all 4 of them perfect. So we're gonna mine some after. We're gonna do level 3 though, because I only use gems and dark silver, which is a lot easier to get in my opinion. A bunch of these until we have some perfects. It is a little RNG. It's why you don't want to be using all your shards on this. There we go, another one there. So we'll take all the ones that have any kind of perfect stat. Okay, so now we've got 4 plus the one I have equipped. We look at Aftershock. Unequip that. We can now go over here and start forging to make perfect. What you want to do is you want to take your tier 4 books, and you want to take one that you want to add to it. So for example, damage 24%, bleeding snare, that's not bad. That one's good. Right, and then basically you choose the 4 from this. So we're going to choose the 2 perfects. That one and that one, knockbacks, not much of a muchness. And it's taking the stuff directly from storage because we have the flooring. This is pretty quick. And now we have a 4 slot with 2 perfects. Put it back in there again. We can take that jewel. There we go, now we have P3 perfect stats. And one small. We have projectile range already? Yeah, we do. That one. And there we go. We'll now have a tier 4 duel without using too many shards that will give us perfect or near perfect stats. Now there are 8 possible options for each spell, so you can do this to your heart's content to get what you need. That was just me trying to show you easy way to do it without using too many shards, because there for now. And let's talk about weapons, because weapons can do the exact same thing, but with weapons it's kind of even cooler, because weapons have different traits. Crossbow has physical crit, life, bonus to physical power. This one has movement speed, weapon attack speed, critical stat chance. So there are lots of different combinations you can get from weapons, and you can swap attributes from one weapon to another. So basically you want to stack broken, and then we've got one here for perfect stats. So this is where we go when we basically want to combine stuff together and make a perfect version. Now I'm not going to waste any of these because we're still playing on this server, but you get my point. You can take every of these you want. So basically there's, I guess, 11 weapons, and each have at least 3 attributes. So that's a lot of different attribute combinations you can come up with to choose what you want. I currently am using Twin Blade quite a lot, surprisingly. My old favourite was the Scythe, but yeah, it's good, but I actually think that the Twin Blade is actually more versatile these days. I've been using that a hell of a lot more, actually, and I need to get that perfect, but the currently standard has some good stat bonuses, so it's all good. That is weapon and gem forging. So the Blood Homogenizer is unlocked, as we talked. Bosses. We used corrupted blood earlier, so we're going to use that as the base, just as an explanation. So putting any blood in here shows you what it gives you. You put another one in, it then gives you the option to take an attribute. So anything in these first 3 will grant you one of these. You have to choose which one you want. So there's a whole lot of different combination stuff you can do. I like to use creature blood as a backup with most things, because you can do better healing and resistance, and resistance can help you with quite a lot of things. Or I like to use creature blood as my base and choose something else to complement it, because creature blood is pretty solid, really. I'll just flick through this, and you can pause if you want each individual one, but you can get quite a lot. Like primary attack life leech from a brute is pretty good, reads maximum health, but you only get the one of these. You only get this extra bonus if the blood quality is 90 or above. As I can show you here, we have the Draculin, which is not 90, so we don't get that. So really, it's about choosing the right combination to go with all of your other options to complement it as best as possible. It does give a nice variety of different things you can do. Skull of Blood is particularly good for casting spells as well. Mutant's a nice one. It's now a lot easier to get different blood sources as well. I found most of these in the wild, but you can actually spawn mutant rats, get mutant rat blood. So what I've done is I've set up like a Thunderdome here, and you can just harvest mutant rats, or you can harvest mosquitoes. Mosquitoes can be all but 2 or 3 different types of blood, so it is very worthwhile doing that. In this run we got particularly lucky because we managed to nab ourselves, I think it was a level 99 werewolf. So this guy is a worker and werewolf creature, so really good for harvesting resources early on. I don't have an actual link because he is actually a werewolf. A good way to complement your cast with each of these, and to be honest, easily done. Using blood maillots is a bit better now because it causes a lot less stress to your occupants, and you can imprison almost anything. I think there's 2 or 3 Draculin you can't, but apart from that, almost anything else can be imprisoned in here. It's pretty cool. I had thought about creating an entire zoo for you guys to joke base, but I haven't had time yet. Now, if you had played VRising before, you'll be aware of the Stygian altar, but things have changed. Passives have been reworked, and the way that they are applied is completely different now. Can't remember if this is less than what it was before, but it's certainly been reworked, so you can specifically choose, or rather individual sets. What you have to do then is you have to defeat all the bosses that give a passive slot. Is now shown here. Spellbook, and you can just drag them down here for them to apply. So there are a world of different combinations you can have now. This is mine mostly going for survival and killing bosses build. So gone for increased maximum health, increased crit chance, and the heal and blood orbs, increased physical crit chance, critical attack speed, increased primary attack 5, 8 against V-Bloods, and deal 8% physical damage to enemies affected by leech, the effects of your current blood. This is just one combination of many possible combinations you could come up with. I haven't done the math or tried to figure out which is the ultimate, but I'm sure someone asks online if you actually look around. Yeah, that's a topic for another video if you guys want to dive on this. Now, we talked about potions briefly earlier, and I wouldn't go crazy making potions because with the new area you can or loot them. These potions don't actually your attribute. I mean by that is if you go to your attributes tab and you go here, so like attack speed 130, 48, that is not including any modifiers which you can get. Is it? Yeah, so it's Elixir of the Werewolf, which will increase your attack speed. It's not including these. This is a way to take your character beat normal maximums are. Technically speaking, chugging potions can give you the extra 3 levels to make Brutal tolerable, and much easier than it was before, I would say. Balance the game out quite significantly if your max comes out. But you can only use 1 elixir at a time, and you can use any number of potions at a time as long as they're a different potion. And a coating, as I said previously, 1 coating per weapon, so I could put 1 on my scythe, 1 on my twin blade, and I could swip between them and have different effects in play. If you really want to try and like go ham on damage, I'd recommend putting Storm coating on weapon, Chaos coating on, and you can hit them with Ignite, and you can hit them with Chain Lightning, and to me those are the 2 most effective. That would give you a much increased damage output. So I just show you, these are typically the ones that I would go for. Potion of Rage, which potion? So we're increasing physical power, spell power. I think I've accidentally put my other potions away. It would be those 2. And I think I usually go for speed. Now, attack speed is good, but movement speed, in my opinion, is better. Leeching's alright, but I think this one, Elixir of the Prowler, is because increase your movement speed by 4. You veil crew down so you can dash around better. But obviously, after you do a tail dash, you get your passive damage. For me, that's one of the best ones. Ultimately, there are many different combinations, so it's up to you where you want to go with that. But it will help you very much if you want to master Brutal. But we've previously mentioned how there are new weapons. So generally speaking, it is considered that the Iron Claws are the best. Iron Claws, believe it, just the claws themselves, because they give you a lot of moving potential. You can do a lot of jumping around, very acrobatic like. Daggers allow you to do a lot of damage from mid-range, which some people also think is pretty much the best. But the Twin Blade, I like the Twin Blade because it gives you your E attack is a dash that will hit a bunch of things. That's the corrupted side effect from having corrupted blood. And it'll catapult them over you, so they'll be behind you after you've done it. This is one thing to be aware of. If it is a particularly dangerous enemy, you need to be aware of what it does. Then your Q, which you do throw it, and if you want to recast, you will go to it, or it will spin back to you doing damage along the path, which I find great. I will show you an example now. So one of the things that can be particularly time consuming, the fact that you need all the flowers for the potion, so we have down here, so I'm going to use this, and I'm going to just do this, and you'll see it. So many flowers. All of the... This is very versatile tool, being generally offensive or harvesting. It is like a wide sweeping attack, so you can even do it here. I did put flowers on the edge of the base. I like to build the flowers. I'm just going to say I wouldn't have done it this way myself, but it still works. Go you guys spells. Seems good, it looks fancy, I don't like it. Then you have Bombardment here. Chaos Magic, which you cast and kind of bombs an entire area. Get me for my own money. And for Necromancer, you have this chain attack, which kind of like chains and pulls them to you. It's okay. Kind of broken when it first came down a bit. For Illusion, you have this wisps thing where you do this in an area, fires them off. Pretty good for coward control, but again, I'm not very keen. The Arctic Storm is very good for PvP. Basically, there's a funnel, does quite irritating damage if you're doing PvP stuff. And Lightning Tendrils. Lightning Tendrils is probably okay-ish, but I'm not overly. Lets you fire a bunch of at a specific area. You can move around a little bit while you're doing it. And also, we've got this spell charge. Every time cast a spell or do damage, and your blood buffs these things up, you'll get charges, and once you're up to 100, you get 3 casts. I think it's going to give us a yeah. But let me cast it again twice in quick succession because we were over 100. So it's just a little way of letting you have a free cast and know that there's a free cast coming already. And there is one extra crucial thing I didn't touch on. So we've got an actual endgame duel on. Bullshit. Dracula. Previously, when you had these things equipped, you could not kill. You can leave that equipped, and I can use the soul shot rather than for their spell now if you wish. Dracula's is pretty good. We've seen Blood Tribe, damage to vampires, spell power, and Bloodthirst basically a whole lot of extra damage and be a whole lot faster for them. Because that is particularly strong. Each of them are slightly different now to what they were before. And full of, if you're a veteran player, what different.
I will embrace this power.
Yes. Overall, a very good rework, I think. A very welcome modification, because sometimes you want to use it, but you don't want to use the ult. Cosmetic speaking, with this update, you get the option to have this, and you can recolor these, so these orbs change the color for their arms. Let's teleport. You'd build a bunch of these random places. But yeah, you see they got a white orb. And this is actually cosmetic look for the new set, minus the hat. Take your armor and expand on it. You can actually drop it in there. Have it overlay over so you can look the way you want to look, which is a nice addition. Also another form for the wolf. Shiny. Best way to describe it, I suppose. You can use the summoning circle to summon actual bosses. If you use this, you can summon actual primal blood enemy. It's the same as you get when you go into Dracula's here. And that is it for my VRising 1.1 update. Of course, on top of this, I'm going to do my Thunderdome video and a Dracula video because we didn't actually finish that on the co-op series we did. Let me know what you think. If I missed anything, let me know down below. Consider subscribing and becoming a member if you so desire. We will be taking a break from V now and back to Warhammer Total War. We'll be covering lots of Warhammer games in the near future. I wish you good fortune all your wars to come, and I'll see you in the next one.